Once upon a time, in a faraway village, there lived a family of 3 beautiful daughters. The youngest of these daughters was named Aledo, which means gold. Her parents chose this name because they believed she was as precious as gold. However, because of her striking beauty, everyone in the village began to call her Mma, which means beauty. As Aledo grew, her beauty shone brighter and the nickname Mma stuck. It became so common that even her family began to call her Mma. Eventually, everyone forgot that her real name was Aledo. When Mma introduced herself, she used the name everyone knew her by. "Mma, you are truly beautiful, like a rare gem," the villagers would say, admiring her. And so, Mma became her identity, known and admired by everyone in the village. Mma was not just beautiful, she was also kind-hearted and very talented at sewing clothes. As the youngest of 3 daughters, she looked up to her older siblings, Ifeoma and Adaobi, who were also very beautiful. Mma loved her family deeply and was proud of her sisters. However, as she grew older, she began to notice that the beauty alone did not guarantee happiness. Ifeoma and Adaobi had captivated the hearts of wealthy men who came from the city to marry them. However, their beauty, which seemed to be a blessing, turned out to be a double-edged sword. As Mma grew up, she witnessed her sisters' weddings, which were grand affairs filled with music, dancing, and promises of a bright future. The men who married Ifeoma and Adaobi had promised their parents that they would support the girls in furthering their education. But once they were married, these promises were broken. Ifeoma's husband, despite his wealth, was unfaithful and often left her feeling lonely and abandoned. Adaobi's husband, on the other hand, was abusive and constantly accused her of infidelity. Both sisters were trapped in their unhappy marriages, unable to live because they lacked skills or education to support themselves independently. One afternoon, Mma visited Ifeoma in the city. The mansion was beautiful, but the atmosphere inside was cold and sad. Ifeoma sat by the window, looking miserable. "Mma, you have to be careful," Ifeoma warned, her voice trembling. "Don't let our fate become yours. Beauty can attract the wrong kind of attention." Mma nodded solemnly, understanding the depth of her sister's despair. She then visited Adaobi, who had a bruise on her cheek from a recent beating. "Why don't you leave him, Ada?" Mma asked, tears welling in her eyes. "I have nowhere to go, and I don't want to burden our parents. Besides, they rely on the money he sends them," Adaobi replied, her voice barely a whisper. Mma returned home from visiting her sisters in the city, her arms full of goodies. She had brought back gifts of clothes, food, and other items her sisters had given her. Her mother greeted her warmly as she entered their small, modest house in the village. "Mma, you are back!" she exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. "What did you bring?" Mma handed her mother the bags. "Here, Mama. These are from Ifeoma and Adaobi. They wanted to make sure you have everything you need." Mma's mother began to unpack the bags, smiling at the contents. But Mma's heart was heavy. She couldn't hold back her feelings any longer. "Mama, I need to talk to you," Mma said, her voice serious. She looked up, sensing the urgency in her daughter's tone. "What is it, my child?" Mma took a deep breath. "Mama, Ifeoma and Adaobi are suffering. Ifeoma's husband cheats on her all the time." Her mother sighed and shook her head. "Mma, you are still young. You do not understand marriage yet. When you grow up, you will see that a woman must be strong and endure her marriage just like I have. Mma was confused. But Mama, why should they stay if they are unhappy? Mma's mother sat down and looked at Mma with a tired expression. Do you think I stay with your father because I am happy all the time? No, Mma. I stay because it is my duty as a wife and mother. We must be strong for our family. Mma felt a wave of sadness wash over her. But Mama, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to suffer like Ifeoma and Adaobi. She took Mma's hand gently. Mma, every woman has her struggles. Marriage is not always easy, but we must do what we can to keep our family together. Mma's eyes filled with tears. Mama, I promise you, I will not settle for a marriage like my sisters. I want to study, become a fashion designer, and make my own way in life. She looked at her daughter with a mix of pride and worry. You are smart, Mma. I hope your dreams come true. But remember, life is not always as simple as we wish it to be. Mma nodded, understanding her mother's words, but still resolute in her heart. She knew she had to follow her own path, no matter how difficult it might be. She hugged her mother tightly, feeling a deep love for her, but also a firm resolve to change her own destiny. Mma was walking home from school, chatting with her friends from high school. They were all in awe of her skill in needlework, praising her designs and talent. Mma, you are so talented. Everyone loves your clothes, said Chinyere, one of her friends. Thank you, Chinyere, Mma replied with a smile. I just love making beautiful things. As they were about to part ways, Mma turned to another friend, Amara. Amara, please remind your mother that I will finish her dress this weekend. She can come and collect it on Sunday. I will, Mma. Thank you so much, Amara responded cheerfully. They all waved goodbye and Mma continued her journey home. As she walked down the dusty village road, a shiny luxury car drove past her, then suddenly reversed back. The window rolled down and a well-dressed man called out to her. Hello there, beautiful. What's your name? The man asked, smiling. Mma stopped and looked at him, feeling uncomfortable. My name is Mma. What do you want? The man grinned. You are very beautiful, Mma. I like you. I want to get to know you better. Mma frowned and shook her head. Thank you, but I'm not interested. The man seemed surprised by her response, but didn't give up. He asked where she lived and drove to her house. When he arrived, he spoke to Mma's parents, telling them the same story her sister's husbands had told. I want to marry your daughter, the man said confidently. I will take her to the city and help her further her studies. She will have a good life with me. Mma's parents were excited and tried to convince her. Mma, this is a good opportunity for you. He's a wealthy man and he will take care of you. But Mma was firm. No, Mama, Papa, I do not want to marry him. I want to continue my studies and become a fashion designer. Despite her parents' attempts to persuade her, Mma refused the man's proposal. Over time, many other suitors came, each promising her heaven and earth, but Mma turned them all down. At the end of the year, the results from her school exams were announced. Mma was nervous but hopeful as she went to check her results. When she saw her scores, she was overjoyed. She had passed with flying colors, and her dream of going to college to study fashion designing was within reach. She ran home to share the good news with her parents. Mama, Papa, I did it! I passed my exams with high marks. I can go to college now. Her parents were proud and happy for her. We are so proud of you, Mma. You have worked so hard, and now you will achieve your dreams. Mma journeyed to the city to study fashion design with the money she had saved from sewing clothes for her villagers. Her sister Adaobi also helped her pay for college for the whole year. When Mma arrived in the city, she stayed with Adaobi since Adobe's house was closer to the college. On Mma's first day at college, She attracted a lot of attention. Her beauty and the stylish clothes she had designed for herself made her stand out. Everyone, including the lecturers, noticed her. A group of ladies often came up to her to compliment her outfit. "Wow, your dress is amazing. Did you make it yourself?" one of the girls asked. "Yes, I did," Mma replied with a smile. "You are so talented and beautiful," another girl said, and everyone nodded in agreement. When Mma walked through the college, people stared at her, admiring her beauty and talent. That first week was very exciting for her. Many girls wanted to be her friend, and they would wave at her from a distance or call out, "How are you, Mma?" They would even ignore whoever she was working with just to get her attention. Mma received a lot of attention from the guys too. Even guys from other faculties would hang around Mma's faculty just to talk to her or ask if they could buy her lunch. "Hi, Mma. Would you like to have lunch with me today?" one of the boys asked. "Thank you, but I already have plans," Mma would reply politely. Despite all the attention, Mma was unsure who truly liked her for who she was. She felt that people were drawn to her looks rather than her personality. After the first week of classes, Mma was due to move into the college residence. That Friday, after her classes, she went back to Adobe's house. She could hear Adobe and her husband arguing, which made her very upset. On that night, Mma took her niece's old ribbon doll and started sewing a mask to cover her face. The doll was small, so she had to put many pieces together, resulting in a lot of stitches. Mma didn't care about the appearance of the mask. She just needed something to cover her face. She used the silicone texture of the doll, which felt like real skin but looked hideous. On Sunday night, Adobe drove Mma to the residence where she would stay. They hugged and said goodbye. "I will come to visit you whenever I can, okay? Study hard," Adobe said to Mma. Mma was alone in the residence because her roommate had not yet moved in. On Monday, Mma went to school wearing her face mask. No one recognized her as Mma. As soon as she reached the academic area, everyone was whispering and laughing. "What is that?" someone said. Mma went to the friends she had made during the first week and told them, "It's me, Mma." They laughed scornfully. "Do you think you can ever look as beautiful as Mma?" they mocked. "Don't look our way." In class, everyone started asking, "Where is Mma today?" Even the lecturers who admired her beauty asked, but no one knew. The first day of the week was very long for Mma. Students from other halls came just to see her. No one wanted to be seen hanging out with her. During breaks, Mma was like a museum exhibit. Everyone came to watch her, but Mma didn't care. She was used to being famous for her beauty, and now she was getting used to being noticed for her ugliness. Mma would sit at the front of the class, but no one wanted to sit near her. All the chairs around her would be empty. The lecturers who admired her in the first week now ignored her. During a class, the teacher announced a group assignment. "When I call your name, please join your group," the teacher instructed. "This assignment is important and counts for 25% of your final marks." The teacher began calling out names. When he called Aledo, she was assigned to Group B, which included some of the friends she had made in the first week. As she stood up, they started laughing. One of the girls sneered, "Didn't you say your name is Mma? I knew it. You could never be her." They all laughed, and one of them told the teacher, "We don't want Aledo in our group." The teacher frowned. "You cannot choose who is in your group. Only I can decide that." Suddenly, another group raised their hands. "We don't want tadpole in our group either," one of them shouted, referring to a lady with pimples who was always quiet and looked down on. The class erupted in laughter. The teacher struggled to calm everyone down. Mma stood up and said firmly, "Don't worry about me, sir. I will do the assignment with her." The room fell silent. Some students muttered, "You deserve each other." Mma replied confidently, "Of course we do." The lady they called Tadpole, whose real name was Obioma, looked very sad and ran out of the class. Mma ran after her, calling out, "Please wait." There was a very handsome guy in the corridor calling out to Obioma, looking in Obioma's direction. As Mma ran down the corridor, she accidentally bumped into this handsome guy. His books fell to the floor. Mma quickly glanced up and saw Obioma running to the bathrooms, but she stopped to help the guy pick up his books. "I'm so sorry, Mma said repeatedly. The guy smiled and said, "It's okay, really." After they picked up the books, Mma rushed to find Obioma. The guy gently grabbed her hand and asked, "Please, what's your name?" "My name is Mma," she replied quickly, then ran after Obioma. Other students who saw the handsome guy talking to Mma started laughing. Some said, "She means her name is the opposite of Mma." The girls were gossiping. What is a handsome guy like that doing talking to that hideous girl? Mma ignored the comments and focused on finding Obioma. She finally caught up with her in the bathroom. "Obioma, please don't be sad," Mma said gently. "We will do this assignment together and show them what we can do." Obioma wiped her tears and managed a small smile. "Thank you, Mma. You're the only one who has been kind to me." Obioma moved to sit at the front next to Mma, and they started talking and laughing. During lunch, Mma was usually alone, but one afternoon, as she sat down to eat, she heard voices. "Can we join you?" asked Obioma. To Mma's surprise, Obioma was not alone. The handsome guy she had bumped into was with her. Mma nodded and they all sat down together. "Thank you for standing up for my sister," the guy said. "My name is Ikechuku." Mma was taken aback. "Your sister?" "Yes, Obioma is my sister," Ikechuku replied with a warm smile. Mma was captivated by Ikechuku. As he spoke, she felt frozen in place. It was love at first sight for her. Ikechuku continued to talk. "I am in my final year of business management," he said. But Mma barely heard his words. She was lost in her own world, admiring Ikechuku. She noticed his kind eyes, his gentle smile, and the way he spoke with confidence. Everything about him seemed perfect to her. Obioma noticed Mma's distraction and smiled knowingly. "Mma, are you okay?" Mma snapped back to reality. Yes, I'm fine. It's just nice to have company." Ikechuku chuckled. "I'm glad we can join you. We could do this more often." Mma nodded, feeling a warmth in her heart. When Mma got to her room, she removed her mask. She thought to herself, "I have to take this off so that Ikechuku can see the real me. But what if he doesn't like me at all? Maybe he only likes the Mma he sees now." Mma started pacing back and forth, wondering if Ikechuku liked her for who she truly was. Her thoughts were racing. She threw herself on the bed, staring at the ceiling and chuckling to herself. "Anyways, I will wait a bit longer," she said softly. "Maybe it's better this way for now." She smiled, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement, not sure what the future held, but hopeful for what might come. The next morning, Mma was very excited. She wore the best outfit she had sewn herself. Obioma noticed and smiled. "Why are you all dressed up, Mma?" Obioma asked teasingly. Mma just grinned. In class, everyone stared at her. The ladies whispered to each other, "The outfit may be beautiful, but it won't take away her hideous face." But from that day on, nothing could take away Mma's happiness. Whenever Obioma told a little joke, Mma would burst out laughing. When lunchtime came, Mma was the first to rush out of the classroom, leaving Obioma behind. "Wait for me, Mma," Obioma called out. Mma and Obioma sat at their usual spot. After a while, Mma started to feel anxious. "Where is Ikechuku? Lunch is almost over." Obioma gave her a knowing smile. "I don't know. We don't always hang out together, you know." Mma felt a pang of sadness, but suddenly Ikechuku came running over. "Oh, I had to submit my final assignment. Today is my last day here. I will only come back to submit assignments," Ikechuku explained. He looked at Mma and added, "I'm glad you are taking care of my sister, Mma. You have been very kind to her." Mma nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. Ikechuku noticed and teased. "Are you sad that you won't be seeing me anymore, Mma?" They both smiled, and Mma quickly said, "No, I've been hanging out by myself all this while." Obioma laughed, and they all went back to class. Mma and Obioma became the best of friends. Surprisingly, every now and then, Ikechuku would come to college and hang out with Mma, giving the excuse of submitting his schoolwork. Mma started thinking they would remain just friends because Ikechuku never spoke of love or asked her out. She began doubting herself, thinking that wearing the ugly mask might have been a bad idea. Despite her doubts, Mma focused on her studies and her friendship with Obioma. All the work that Mma and Obioma did together was excellent, and they passed with flying colors. As the year went by, everyone got used to seeing them together. They became a well-known ugly pair in college. While many girls were meeting their suitors and experiencing nightlife, Mma and Obioma noticed that no guys were asking them out or even looking their way. This reality was sometimes hard to ignore, especially when they saw their classmates going out on dates and enjoying social events. One evening, as they were studying in their room, Obioma sighed and looked at Mma. "Do you ever wonder why no one asks us out, Mma?" Mma looked up from her book and smiled sadly. "Sometimes, but I think it's because they don't see the real us. They only see what's on the outside." Obioma nodded in agreement. "It doesn't bother me much though. I'm happy with how things are. We have each other and we are doing well in our studies. We have our goals and we are achieving them. That's what matters." Even though they sometimes felt left out, Mma and Obioma focused on their dreams and supported each other. As the college term neared its end and holidays approached, Obioma invited Mma to visit her home. "My sister is getting married and I would love for you to be there with me during the wedding week," Obioma said warmly. "And Ikechuku would love that too." Mma was delighted by the invitation. As the last day of the term arrived, students were leaving with their luggage, some being picked up by their parents. Obioma and Mma also waited for Obioma's transport outside their residence. A big limousine pulled up in front of them, catching everyone's attention. The driver stepped out, dressed smartly in a uniform, and began loading Obioma and Mma's luggage into the limo. "Wow, a limo!" one of their classmates exclaimed, staring in amazement. Even Mma was surprised. As they got into the limo, their classmates continued to stare. The interior of the car was plush and comfortable, and Mma couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed. The limousine drove off, leaving their classmates talking excitedly about what they had just seen. Mma felt a mix of excitement and curiosity about the days ahead, grateful for Obioma's friendship and the new experiences awaiting her. Through the limo window, Mma looked at the mansion on the hill they were approaching. Though Mma's sisters were married to wealthy men, this was different. This was old money, something she had never seen before. Mma exclaimed, "My friend, who are you really?" Obioma just smiled. The limo stopped and the door was opened for them to exit. There were many maids lined up from the car to the front door of the house. As they stepped out of the car, everyone nodded and said, "Welcome, princess," while throwing flowers on the ground for Princess Obioma to walk on. Mma's jaw dropped and she was left speechless. The house was buzzing with preparations for the upcoming wedding. The king and queen welcomed Princess Obioma and Mma warmly. Mma was shown to a grand bedroom that she couldn't believe her eyes. As Mma was making herself at home, she heard a knock on her door. Ikechuku entered and they both smiled, glad to see each other. They hugged and realized it was their first hug, creating a bit of tension as they let go. "I am so happy to see you, Mma. How are you? Have you passed?" Ikechuku asked eagerly. Mma laughed. "Slow down, Ike. Is it Ikechuku or Prince Ikechuku? I will know when the results come out." Ikechuku grinned. "Okay, but I know you have passed." They hung out and soon Obioma joined them. They had so much fun together. The wedding was extravagant. Obioma's elder sister married a prince from another kingdom. After the wedding reception, all the maidens gathered to catch the bouquet. Mma caught it, but she wasn't happy because she had no lover. She sighed, looking at the bouquet, feeling a mix of hope and sadness. "Don't worry, Ma," Obioma said, putting a hand on her shoulder. "Your time will come." Ikechuku, standing nearby, smiled at Umma, adding, "Yes, it will. You deserve all the happiness in the world." Umma looked at them both and felt grateful for their friendship. Feeling exhausted after the wedding, Umma went into the palace's garden, still holding the bouquet. She sighed and yawned. Ikechuku came to the garden and they sat near the pond, looking at the stars. Ikechuku reached for Umma's hand, opened it and held it gently. Clearing his throat, Ikechuku said, "Umma, you are so warm and kind. I feel very happy when you are by my side." Umma couldn't believe her ears. These were the words she had longed to hear from Ikechuku. She felt her voice catch in her throat, unable to speak. Ikechuku continued, "Umma, please look at me." Umma turned, blushing, barely lifting her face to meet Ikechuku's eyes. Ikechuku took a deep breath and said, "I have never felt this way about anyone else. I love you so much, Umma. When you are not with me, I feel like I can't breathe. But when you are near, everything makes sense. I have loved you since the day you bumped into me." Tears welled up in Umma's eyes. "Really? I have waited to hear this all year long. I love you too, Ikechuku. I love you very much." They hugged, both of them over the moon. But Umma pulled back slightly and said, "Ikechuku, I have to tell you something." Ikechuku, excited, held her hand and said, "Come, I have to tell my mother about you. I have already told my father." They ran back into the palace. After saying goodbye to the older princess, who was leaving for her honeymoon, everyone gathered inside. Ikechuku announced, "I want to marry Umma." The king and Obioma were happy for him, but the queen stood there, mouth open in shock. Umma took a deep breath and began to speak. "I have to say something. I haven't been quite honest with you all," she said. Umma then shared her sister's stories and explained why she had hidden her true appearance. She removed her mask, revealing her true beauty. Everyone was shocked and overwhelmed by how beautiful Umma was. The queen's voice returned quickly. "Oh, my daughter, come, let me give you a hug. You are indeed our future queen, so flawless." Ikechuku was also stunned by Umma's beauty. The queen herself accompanied Umma back to her village to talk to Umma's parents about the marriage proposal. Umma and Ikechuku were engaged before the college reopened. When the college reopened at the beginning of the year, a function was held to award the best students. Umma was the top student in the fashion design class. As she was called up to the stage to receive her award, she wore her mask. Umma accepted her award, but as she stood to give her speech, she removed her mask. Everyone was shocked and in awe. Ikechuku shouted from the crowd, "That's my wife, everyone!" That day, no one wanted to go to their classes. The school buzzed with the news of Obioma's wealth, the limos, and the beautiful Umma and her prince. From that day on, everyone wanted to be friends with Umma and Obioma, but they were already inseparable and didn't let anyone else in. Umma's wedding to the prince was held at the end of the year after she graduated with her 2-year diploma. Umma and Obioma opened a very successful company where they designed everything from socks to wedding gowns. The queen and king called Ifeoma and Adobe's husbands and warned them sternly about their abuse. The husbands promised never to mistreat the two sisters again. Umma and Ikechuku lived happily ever after. The end.